So these are some important terms that oftentimes people don't have a super in-depth understanding of, and in turn can cause some confusion when youth specifically go in for suicide screenings or assessments or screening for self-harm. So I think it's really important that we all really understand these terms in the same way. And when you're working within a system, whether it's a school system or a behavioral healthcare system, it's really important that the entire system operates with the same understanding of these definitions as well. So if you are someone who works pretty frequently with youth, it's a good idea to have a conversation about what these terms mean. So non-suicidal self-injury, or NSSI, is the same thing as self-harm. Researchers really use that non-suicidal self-injury term. I will likely refer to it as self-harm throughout this presentation, honestly, just because non-suicidal self-injury is a mouthful. So I will refer to it as self-harm. So we know that self-harm is defined as any self-injurious behavior that a person engages in without the intention to die. So this is purely 100% for reasons other than wanting to die. And another way to put this is that no part of the person wanted to die as a result of their self-injurious actions. We'll talk a lot more about self-harm going through this presentation, but we'll keep it simple for now. We know that self-harm is used as a coping mechanism, right? We may not view it as the healthiest coping mechanism, and certainly not the one that we want people to choose, but it is a way of coping nonetheless. And we know that people choose to engage in self-harm or NSSI for many different reasons, and we will dive into that much deeper going forward, but we're going to move on for now to suicide attempt. So a suicide attempt is also a self-injurious act, but this is committed with at least some intent to die as a result of that act. So a suicide attempt does not have to result in injury or harm. It just has to be that intent and behavior are linked. So what is the intent behind the action? If the intent is to die, that's a suicide attempt, even if the person wasn't injured. So an interrupted suicide attempt is when someone starts to take steps to end their life, but someone or something stops them. So that's an external force that is stopping them. So the example that I will share is maybe someone has a bottle of pills in their hand or a firearm in their hand, and somebody walks in and takes the method from them. That is an interrupted attempt. An aborted suicide attempt is when someone starts to take steps to end their life, but they stop themselves. So maybe someone is driving their car, they have intention to crash their car to end their life, but they decide they're not going to do that. So they pull the car over and call someone instead, or they turn around and just go home instead. So that would be an aborted attempt. And then preparatory behavior is any action taken with the intention to die later. And this is beyond just saying something about suicide. So this might look like somebody stockpiling pills or acquiring a firearm or writing a suicide note. It could look like sorting out care for pets or loved ones or other responsibilities, right? So any action or behavior that somebody is engaging in to prepare for a suicide attempt. And we know that preparatory behaviors are highly indicative of a future attempt. And so if we know that someone is engaging in these behaviors, we really want to be on top of that.